Hello, my name is Sekou Lumumba. I am a touring session drummer here in Toronto. And obviously due to the pandemic, I've had to focus more on the recording, these home recording side specifically, part of my job. To that end, I luckily have this gorgeous TD-50 kit from Roland that's running Logic with the Superior Drummer 3 plugin to really beef up the sounds. And then, pièce de résistance, these field electric trigger cymbals. These things are incredible. If you came here to get your field ride cymbal set, then you already know about these incredible instruments. But in case you're in the dark still, these are triggers, made, handcrafted, handmade, each of them, so no two are alike, with real B20 alloy, which is what most cymbals these days are made of. So they look and feel like real cymbals. Are just gorgeous. This ride is actually two triggers. You have the bell here, it's kind of bolted onto the body of the ride. If you take a look at the bottom, you see that there are, sure enough, two inputs, one for the bell, one for the ride. So yeah, they look and feel just incredible. I think they're gorgeous. Now, Roland makes some great rubber ride cymbals, but for my money, I just needed to have a ride that was like a real ride, that felt like a real ride. When I close my eyes and I play this, the feedback I get is exactly what I need when I'm playing to just really be immersed in my music. So I just think they feel great and I think they look incredible. And I'm not going back. Now, while Field has a few instructional videos of how to set these up and they're great, I personally was finding it difficult to find any resources online for setups that I have, my setup, specifically the TD-50 with the fields, running a DAW that's running Superior Drummer 3. Also, I find it really difficult to find any instructional videos that went into detail about how to kind of configure and fine-tune the MIDI and other performance settings to really best exploit the cymbals and exploit the kit. So with that, I thought it might be best just to make a quick video for guys who have similar setups as I. What I'll be walking you through here is connecting the ride, assigning a sound to the bell of the ride, adjusting the sensitivity, rim gain, and crosstalk setting. Don't let that last fool you. It's not super hard stuff, it really isn't. It's just not super obvious. Those will be enough to get you so that the field is working with your TD-50. Additionally, what I'll do past that, if you want to stick around, is if you are running SD3 through a DAW, I'll show you how to get that set up and how to configure those MIDI settings, because there's some slightly different settings in there that you need to know about to really best exploit the properties of the plugin as well as the cymbals. And then finally, at a later date, I'll probably be making another video for the field hi-hats, because there's some slightly different configuration and calibration settings in there that you need to fiddle with to kind of get best results. Okay, so let's go. Let's do this field ride cymbal. Okay, so to connect the ride cymbal, it's not as obvious as you might think. We have two inputs here, as I mentioned before. Now you can get this cymbal with the version that has a switcher on it, but that's not this model. This just has the two inputs. Output 1 here is going to go to your ride input at the back of your TD-50. Output 2 here, it is for your bell, and you might think is meant to go to the bell input at the back of your TD-50. It's actually going to go into the aux, one of your auxes. Mine is aux 4 because aux 1 through 3 are taken, but you're gonna put yours in one of your 4 auxes, and the reason you're doing that is so you have better control over what you assign here, and B, like how much control you can have to configure it and adjust some of the other settings that we have to look at later on. So again, output 1, body of the ride. Output 2 is going into one of your auxes, right? Okay, so now we are assigning the bell sound to the bell section of the field ride cymbal that we've plugged into our aux port. I will leave some instructions below on how to get to this page. Roland has a pretty simple walkthrough for us, so I'll leave that. But while we're here, let's just do it. We're gonna go down here to kit. Just move this a little bit. Down here to kit, and pick our specific kit we want to adjust. Then we go to the instrument button up here, and then we're going to hit H and R, F5 down here. It says H and R up there, and that's head and rim. We want to make sure this is set to off, because we want what's coming out of our aux port to just be a single bell sound. We don't want two signals coming out of that port, which is what you kind of have options for. We just want one, so we'll set our head and rim to off. That way it only sends us one signal. Then you're gonna hit the pad that you want to adjust. In this case, again, it's our aux bell that we're adjusting, but here's the ride. You can see it says right up there, but I'm gonna go up to aux 4. You'll see aux 4 right now is a medium thin splash. We don't want that. What you do is you turn the big dial and you choose the desired instrument you want. Traditional, medium thin, ride, bell, RD, B for bell. So now we have the bell sign assigned there. We're good to go. We back out of here just by pressing kit, right? And another thing to note, when you're making these changes, the way, if you don't know, just in case you don't know, the way the TD-50 saves information is when you turn it off. Not unplug it, but when you physically turn it off. There's a shutdown mode it goes through where that's when it saves the settings you've made. So if you're making these changes and you want to save them, remember to just hit the button, turn it off, and turn it back on. It's the only way those changes are going to be saved. So to get to the rim gain and sensitivity crosstalk page from the main page here, I'm going to go up here to trigger, which will bring us over to our trigger settings. You're going to hit F3 here, which brings over sensitivity. From here we have our rim gain and sensitivity. If you page down from here, you've got the crosstalk monitor where you can adjust the crosstalk settings. Okay, again, so here are the sensitivity, rim gain, and crosstalk settings for the bell, for aux. Yeah, you've got your sensitivity set to 10, and the rim gain is set to 0.8. The trigger type, I have it here as a CY15R. I find that's the one that's the most responsive for the field cymbals. This is what works for me. You may have to tweak it a little bit on your end depending on how you play, but this I find is the most effective. Then you're gonna page down to page 3. You're gonna go over here to F2, hit crosstalk. For aux 4, which is my bell, it's set to 66. All right, so that's it for the bell. Now what we want to do is set up the ride input for that sensitivity. So what we're going to do here is go back to our instrument. Now it's on the edge, the rest of the cymbal. So we're going to go into trigger again, and what you want to do is set your sensitivity to 7 and the rim gain to 1.2. And again, your crosstalk for the ride is set to 50. There it is right there, 50 for the ride. So now that we've changed our crosstalk, rim gain, and sensitivity settings for the bell and the ride, we're going to assign the MIDI notes to the specific triggers to make sure that they're universal. Again, I will leave the link to the instructions on how to change this. You want to make sure that the note assignment that you give it in the TD-50 is the same as it will be read in the Superior Drummer. Otherwise, you'll be triggering different sounds because they have different MIDI note values. So to make sure, or rather to change the MIDI sounds in a TD-50, you're going to go to Kit, you're going to hit F5 for menu, and you're going to page down all the way to the bottom to page 4. And at page 4, you will get a full list of what it's already assigned, the MIDI note values for all the separate triggers, all the different triggers. What you want to do is you want to go down to the ride, and you want to make ride MIDI note, where'd it go, right here. The ride bow, which is the body, you want to make that MIDI note 51. Then you want to make the ride edge 59. Again, the edge is, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's the tip of the cymbal. And then for your aux, which is going to be your bell, again, for me it's aux 4. I'm going to go into aux 4 and make sure that aux 4 is head is set to 53. Again, that will be the bell of my ride. I want to make sure aux4 head is set to 53. aux4 rim, don't forget, we don't want that. We only want the one signal sent from that cable. So, for that input rather. So you're going to turn aux4 rim to 0, so it's nothing. It doesn't trigger anything. Again, the settings you want are ride bow, note 51, ride edge, note 59, and aux, note 53, which again is your ride bell. Okay, so here we are in Superior Drummer 3, and what we want to do is make sure that the MIDI notes that we've assigned in the TD-50 for the field cymbal is the same, or the same 3 MIDI notes we're assigning in Superior Drummer 3, so that we can assign those specific sounds we want to those notes. Right. So in order to do that, we're going to go over to ride here, select the ride, and we're going to go into MIDI mapping. And I've already got it set here, but bow tip is effectively the bow of the ride, as you can imagine. Bell shank is the bell. And crash is what I have for the edge. So if you remember, bow tip, our ride bow was note 51. It's the same here. Our bell shank, our bell, aux4 is note 53. And then finally our edge, which I'm just basically calling it a crash, because when I hit the edge of the ride, I want it to kind of be able to, make a crash sound. That is 59. Those are the 3 numbers. Now you see all these other levels of articulation here. These are, again, this plugin is pretty robust, so it's meant for all kind of nuanced things. But because our ride cymbal only has 3 inputs, we're only interested in those 3 values: the tip, the bell, and then the edge. Right? Once you do that, you're good to go, and now your field ride cymbal should be performing as desired. I hope that helps some of you guys. Like I said, I will probably make one for the hi-hats, because that's a whole other kettle of fish in itself. So I may make one in future if anyone has any questions or desires to see it.